Welcome back, YouTube. Sensei Domino here. Welcome to the Spine Ticks After Party. Got some great stuff to share with you tonight. I have a contest win. I received my copy of The Edge, the Spine Ticks variant. I also picked up a couple of cards off of eBay, including a graded Hall of Fame rookie card. I'll be showing a small set from 1977 called Fritz's One-Year Winners. I'll be showing another set from 1959 by Liebig of a famous artist. And I'll also be showing the rest of the starter set I've been showing over the last couple weeks, 1981 Topps Baseball. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the contest win. So a couple weeks ago, Sammy Thunder and Orlando at A Collector's Dream reached 2,000 subscribers, and they did a giveaway. And I was fortunate enough to win one of the prizes. And this is from Sammy Thunder. Really cool little letterhead right there. And he says, "Tony, man, congrats on winning the Raleigh Man. He's one of my favorite relief pitchers, the man with the stash. Appreciate your support, and thank you for entering. Thanks, Sammy." And the card that he's referring to is Raleigh Fingers. And it's this really nice second year, 1970 Topps Raleigh Fingers. Let me go ahead and take this tape off real quick, but this thing is gorgeous. And I'm a huge Raleigh Fingers fan myself. I think the oldest card that I have of his is 1972 Topps, so really cool to have a second year Raleigh Fingers. But man, this is gorgeous. Really nice condition, great centering. And feel really grateful to have won. So thank you, Sammy and Orlando, and congratulations on 2,000 subscribers. If you haven't checked out Sammy Thunder or Orlando at A Collector's Dream, definitely go check out their channels. They are a wealth of knowledge, and I absolutely love their content, and I think you will as well. So thank you again, Sammy. This card is amazing. Really happy to have this for my collection. Thank you so much. All right, next, I am really excited about this. I think I ordered this in March of 23, so I've been waiting a while for this, and it did not disappoint. This is the Spine Ticks variant of The Edge, signed by the great Marvin Wynn, and just check this out. Let me see if I can figure out who everybody is. This, is, of course, is Sith Lordly. We've got Swag right here. I believe this is Dave. We've got Dave's sons right there. I think this might be GP Venom. And I don't remember who this is. But he's a member of the Spine Ticks crew as well. And this is fantastic. Absolutely love this gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. And I haven't even opened this up yet, but I'm actually in this comic myself, which is really, really cool. So let me get this tape off nice and carefully. Now, I have seen this sell. Sith sent it to me a couple weeks back, but I haven't actually seen it within the comic, so really looking forward to this. You will see my reaction in real time. I believe Trev and Will Voggs, W Voggs 18, are also in this. Trev, the shipping guru. Let me take a look inside. Oh, I think I might have skipped a couple pages. So there's, I don't want to give too much of it away. There's the first one. See if I can find it. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, there we go. There's Spine Ticks. We've got Sith Lordly right there. Welcome to the stage, Spine Ticks. Oh yeah, Al. Okay. So we've got Swag, got Dave and the boys, and we got GP Venom, and then we got Al. And then this right here is me. So that's actually my first appearance on my own channel. I've been on other people's channels, but I've never done a face reveal on my own channel. So there's my face reveal. And that's W Vogs, and I know one of these is Trev. I'm not sure which one is Trev. I don't want to point to the wrong one. Maybe that's Trev, or that's Trev. I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's really cool. But Marvin, man, you did an amazing job with this, and I can't thank you enough for including me in this comic book, man. There's something special about that. I'm actually in a comic book. That's really cool. So anyway, if you haven't picked up this copy of the Spine Ticks, I'm trying to figure out what comic number this is. I don't see it on here, so I'm not sure what issue this is, but this is the Spine Ticks variant. That's what it looks like. Definitely go check this out. See if I can. Might be the Edge issue number 11, maybe, by Comicsburg. But yeah, definitely go check that out. There's the website, www.theedgecomic.com. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you will enjoy this, especially if you're a fan of comics and Spine Ticks. So again, thank you so much, Marvin. This is absolutely amazing. All right. So next, I've been sick most of the week, so let me apologize if I sound a little bit nasally. Sorry for bumping my camera. So I didn't do a whole lot of buying off of eBay. The stuff that I'm showing, I picked up a couple weeks ago. In fact, I didn't even take the tape off of this one. This is from 1975-76. This is a Len Elmore rookie. I was actually trying to bundle a couple other cards, and this is the only one that I won, so I thought it was in pretty nice condition, so I decided to pick it up. I do like the design of this set, but there were some other cards that were up for auction that I would have liked to get a little bit more than this Len Elmore, but still happy to get this Len Elmore. He was a pretty nice role player for several years, and it is his rookie card, so I'm very happy to get that. But my big pickup, and if you know, a couple months ago, I purchased a lot of Stars and Hall of Famers from the 80s, and I had a goal of picking up 3 cards, basically like taking the cards from that Stars and Hall of Famers lot and putting it on eBay and kind of flipping it up to, you know, better cards, I guess. And that didn't quite work out because of the limitations of only being able to post, you know, 250 items per month. And so that's basically out the window. I'm not going to be able to do that in any decent amount of time. So one of the cards that I wanted to get was the 64 Mickey Mantle, which I showed a couple weeks ago. And I picked up another one of those cards that I was hoping to get. And it is the 1971 Topps Joe Green in an SGC 5. And this is his rookie card. And absolutely love this copy. The centering is really nice. The colors are fantastic. It's got some touches on these corners. Actually, the two on the bottom are a little worse than the two on the top, but, you know, with the centering, you know, I just think it's a fantastic looking example of this card. And as you know, I went to the University in North Texas, and so did Mean Joe Green. In fact, they're the Mean Green because of Joe Green. So, you know, this was a card that I've always wanted to have in my collection. And he was an amazing player, Hall of Famer. And really happy to have his rookie card in my collection. And my goal was actually to get one in a 4 or raw. And I just liked this copy, and it was a 5, and so I paid up a little more to get this card instead of a 4. And I didn't like the options with the raw. Um, there were a couple of them that I bid on, that I wanted to keep it in a certain price point, and it went over that price point, so I walked away from them. But I thought with the grade, what I paid for this one was fair, and so really happy to get this and add it to the collection. This is, a step below a Grail for me, but I am a huge Joe Green fan, and really, really happy to add this to the collection. So uh, happy to mark that off of my checklist. So there is actually one more card that I want to get. It's the 1956 Topps Willie Mays, and that card can go for like $300. So it's going to be a while until I get that card. But I wanted a 50s Mickey Mantle card, or Mickey Mantle. I would love to get a 50s Mickey Mantle, but I meant to say a 50s Willie Mays card. And so I've kind of targeted that 1956. Now it's probably going to end up being raw because I don't think I can afford more than a 3 of that card. But if I do find a graded 3 that I like, I'd definitely pick it up if I have the money available. But that'll be the next one, and that'll complete the trio of cards that I wanted to pick up. And I'll just slowly sell off that Stars and Hall of Famers lot and kind of recoup some of that money. But as I said last week when I was talking about it, I did break even. So everything else that I have right now is basically just, free. So, you can't beat that. And I'll slowly sell that off and try to recoup as much of the money as possible to pay for these cards. So, but yeah, definitely excited to have 2 of the 3 done. All right. So next, I picked up this set, and I've wanted this set for a while. I didn't like the price that I had to pay for it, but I couldn't find, for several months, I couldn't find one better price-wise on eBay, so I ended up going on the site and picking it up. I imagine that this is Fritsch's cards, and I went to the Fritsch's website, so I'm assuming it's the same person that originally did this set. And it's just got some fantastic names in it, and names that a lot of people don't know about, and they have some fantastic stories. And so, one of the things that I like about sports is the history of sports, and some of these players that are in this set. In a lot of cases, this is like their first cards. And so I was really happy to get this. But before I actually talk about that set, they actually threw in an extra pack. Thank you for your order. To show our appreciation, we've included an unopened pack or 2 of cards as a gift for you. We hope you enjoy this pack of cards, and we look forward to continuing to do business with you in the future. Best regards, Larry Fritsch Cards, LLC. And so this is 1991 NFL Football, the Premier Edition. And so I'm going to go ahead and rip this. This is junk wax, so I've opened quite a bit of this in the past, but I haven't ripped one of these packs in a long, long time. So it'll be kind of cool to get into here, kind of see what we can get. Oh, I'm not saving this pack. Looks like it's kind of ripping up. That's all right. See if we can get maybe a Barry Sanders or an Emmett, or Joe Montana would be nice. I think he might be the football heroes in here too, the Joe Montana. So maybe we'll see what we can get. So we got Tommy Kane. They don't seem to be bricked, but that corner's rough. We got Bruce Pickens, rookie. Got Barney Bussey. Greg Lewis, star rookie. I remember him. Get quite a few rookies in this pack. Charles McCray. Got John Alt. that's interesting. Looks like he busted up his finger right there. Bert Grossman. Got Cleveland Gary. He wasn't a bad running back. Got Jerry Robinson. Oh, Chris Hinton. He was part of the trade that brought John Elway to Denver. That's cool. Got Eric Green. And the last card we have is Heath Sherman. So nothing too special in that pack. Didn't get any Hall of Famers. Best card. Not even sure what the best card might have been. Maybe the Chris Hinton. Probably the best card from that pack. But still, that was a nice of them to toss that in. All right, so this set of Fritsch's one-year winners is an 18-card set, and these are some of the lesser-known players, I guess. So we have Joe Brovia. It says, having patience and perseverance usually pays off for most players. Joe was no exception. He toured the minor leagues for many seasons without ever giving up on his dream of playing in the major leagues. Finally, he got his chance when the Reds called him up for late season duty. He proved to be a timely hitter and drove in several key runs for Cincinnati. Was a very good defensive player while in the minors. His major league batting record: 21 games, 18 at-bats, 2 hits, 4 RBIs. Batted .111. Next, we have Ross Grimsley. Ross Grimsley was a hard-throwing left-hander with an excellent curveball. Ross worked his way up through the White Sox farm system to pitch for them in a couple of key games. He was usually called upon to pitch in clutch situations while in the minors. He was an excellent defensive pitcher, which made for better effectiveness while on the mound. His son, Ross II, later pitched for several teams in the majors. This Ross Grimsley pitched in 7 games, 14 innings, 8 strikeouts, 10 walks, 12 hits, 3.86 ERA. Next we have Bob Thorpe. And Bob Thorpe, this native from California, had an excellent high school career in baseball. He was signed by the Cubs and was immediately sent to their farm team at Stockton. Here he paid off with great dividends. He won 28 games for them in 1954 and earned himself a chance in the majors with the Cubs. A very hard thrower with a good change of pace. Also was a very good fielding pitcher. His 28 wins were tops in the league for Stockton. In his major league career, he had 2 games, 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, and a 3 ERA. Next we have Cy Bucher. Cy Bucher, with their pitching staff greatly reduced due to a great number of their men in the armed forces, the Dodgers were forced to go to their farm system for additional pitching help. One welcomed addition was Cy, who proved to be very valuable to the team. His fine pitching style made him very effective against the better hitting teams in the league. Born in the same town which has produced 2 other pro athletes, Cy was also a very successful high school coach. In his major league career, he pitched in 42 games, 87 innings pitched. He was 7-2, 778 winning percentage, 48 strikeouts, 45 walks, 90 hits, and a 3.30 ERA. Next, we have Tony Roig. Tony Roig. The Senators were lucky to have a player with Tony's talent around. Not only was he a fine fielder, but he could also play second, short, and third. Moved up to the big leagues through the Senators minor league chain and drove in some important runs for them. Played some outfield in the minors as well. And you see he played in 53, 55, and 56 for Washington. Played 3 games, 29 games, and 44. 8 at-bats, 57 at-bats, 119 at-bats. Anyway, you can see that So there's Tony Roig. Next, we have Paul Schrammka. Paul Schrammka, an all-sport participant in his native city, Paul had his heart set on becoming a big league baseball player since his early youth. He got a chance and signed with the Cubs, was sent to their farm club in Des Moines, and later worked his way up to the parent club. A good hitter in the minors as well as being a fine defensive outfielder, career was split up when he was called upon for military service. And he did play in 2 games for Chicago in 1953. It looks like he went hitless. And then this one's definitely, as Aaron said, definitely overexposed. I mean, that's the worst image in the set. But this is Hal Trotsky. You would think that they could have used a better picture than that, but that's the one they went with. So Hal comes from a baseball family. His father, Hal Sr., was a star outfielder for many years with the Cleveland Indians. So like his dad, Hal's first love was baseball. He pitched and had several good seasons with the White Sox farm system, and this gave him his chance to pitch for the White Sox in the majors. Had an assortment of pitches, with his fastball being number 1. Called upon for several relief stints while in the minors. And in the major leagues, he pitched in 2 games for 3 innings. He did get a win, 1 strikeout, 2 walks, 5 hits, and a 6 ERA. And that was in 1958. All right, next we have Floyd Woodridge. Floyd was a bright pitching prospect for the Cardinals farm system when fate did him a bad turn. During the spring training period in 1954, he suffered a broken leg in an automobile accident. With great determination, he fought his way back to earn himself a chance with the Cardinals again the following season. Had a good breaking ball, which made him an excellent strikeout artist while in the minors. In his major league pitching record, 1955, 18 games, 58 innings pitched. He was 2-4, 333 win percentage, 14 strikeouts, 27 walks, 64 hits, and a 4.84 ERA. Next, we have Jim Westlake. One of the Phillies' top minor league prospects. Jim made a couple of all-star teams while playing in the minors. A good hitter and fielder, the Phillies promoted him to their parent team to help boost their hitting core. Playing first base most of his career, but also had some experience in the outfield, had a fine throwing arm. His older brother, Wally Westlake, was a star outfielder for several major league teams. And in the majors in 1959, playing for Philadelphia, he played in 1 game, 1 at-bat, and went hitless. And the last one we have is Leon Brinkoff. A graceful infielder with very good fielding range, Leon impressed the Cubs brass that they signed him to a contract. He was assigned to Los Angeles, where he had several impressing seasons, hit very well for the Angels as well as being a steady fielder that he was, became a very popular player while at L.A. The Cubs finally called him up to help give them some badly needed infield insurance. 52 for the Cubs, pitched in 9 games, hit in 9 games, 22 at-bats, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 RBIs, batted .182. So those are some of the lesser notable names from the set. And let me see how many. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 of them that I've top-loaded that have really interesting stories. So we will start with probably arguably the biggest known name in the set. And it's Eddie Gaedel. And there's the back. I'll let you read that if you'd like to, but I did a little write-up on Eddie Gaedel. But Eddie Gaedel gained recognition in the second game of the St. Louis Browns doubleheader on August 19, 1951. Weighing 60 pounds and standing 3 foot 7 inches tall, he became the shortest player in the history of the major leagues. Gaedel made a single plate appearance and walked with 4 consecutive balls, before being replaced by a pinch hitter at first base. His jersey uniform number was 1/8. And it's interesting hearing the background of this story because apparently Bill Veeck, who was the owner of the team, had told Eddie Goodell that he was going to be on the roof of the stadium with a shotgun, and if Eddie Goodell had swung at any of the pitches, he was going to shoot him. So I don't know how. There's no doubt he probably told him that, but I don't know how realistic it was that he was sitting on the top of the stadium with a shotgun. But it's kind of interesting that he would tell him that. But I guess the fact of the matter is he told him not to swing, and he didn't, and he walked on 4 consecutive pitches. But before the at bat, the catcher actually wanted to crouch even lower to make up for his tiny strike zone. And the umpire said, no, you have to, catch like you normally would. And so he got in his regular crouch, and then, 4 consecutive pitches, he took his base. But definitely an interesting story in the history of baseball. Mr. Eddie Goodell, shortest player in history, and that'll probably never be broken. But Bill Veeck actually had put him on the active roster, I think, the day before, but didn't tell anybody that he was actually going to do this. So, it probably caught a lot of people by surprise that he actually put him in the game. But definitely an interesting story. But later on, Bill Veeck actually ended up purchasing the White Sox and called upon Eddie Goodell again. And this time it was May 26th, 1959. And this wasn't to get up to the plate or participate in the game itself, but he was part of a skit, I guess, that was going on, where a helicopter carrying Eddie Goodell and 3 other little people dressed as spacemen, and they invaded Comiskey Park. And their apparent mission was to deliver ray guns to 2 of the White Sox smallest players, Nellie Fox and Luis Aparicio. And Eddie Goodell confided to them that said, I don't want to be taken to your leader. I've already met him. And so that was another appearance that he made, within Major League Baseball was that moment right there. But tragically, Eddie Goodell was murdered couple years later, early 60s, and I guess he was walking home from a bowling alley when he got jumped, and he was beaten severely, and his mom found him dead in his bed the next morning, and he had bruises on his face and his knees, and apparently he had suffered a heart attack as well. So kind of a tragic end to Eddie Goodell. But his story, this story right here, will live forever because this is an amazing moment in the history of baseball. And I do think he has a card in 1961. I think the new card scoops or top scoops or something like that. And I would love to get that one day. But for now, happy to see him in this set. Fritsch's 1-year winners. And he's card number 1. All right, so next we have Chuck Connors. And a lot of you might know Chuck Connors as the Rifleman. But see, there's the back right there. But Chuck Connors is also one of only 13 athletes in the history of American professional sports to have played both Major League Baseball and in the NBA. But like I said, he's probably best known for playing Lucas McCain in the Rifleman from 1958 to 1963. But he did play a little bit for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 49 and the Chicago Cubs in 1951, as well as the Boston Celtics from 1946 to 1948. And he does have a card, I think it's 1952 Mother's Cookies. And that's the first year of Mother's Cookies cards. And I think it was like the Pacific Coast League or something like that. I'm not sure what it was, but it was like a minor league. And Chuck Connors does have a card in that set, but it is ridiculously expensive. So I won't be getting that, but really happy to get this nice Chuck Connors card into the collection for sure. Because he does have an interesting story, and he was a well-respected actor. I think he was in Airplane or Airplane 2 as well. All right, so next, let me adjust my notes real quick. Next, we have Pete Gray. And Pete Gray was a replacement player for the St. Louis Browns in 1945, where a lot of the ball players were fighting in World War II. And so Pete Gray was a replacement player, but what's interesting about Pete Gray is Pete Gray lost his right arm in a childhood accident. So he was playing with only one arm. And, I think that's absolutely amazing. But he played in 77 games in 1945. He batted .218 with no home runs and 13 RBIs. But another amazing stat that I saw is he only struck out 11 times in 234 at-bats. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, you're hitting with only one arm. I mean, if a pitch fools you, you can't check your swing very easily. So for him to have only struck out 11 times in 234 at-bats, I find that absolutely amazing. And the way I heard about Pete Gray is when I was younger, they actually did a made-for-TV movie, and I had completely forgotten about this for a long time, but it was a movie called A Winner Never Quits, and it starred Keith Carradine. And that was the first time I had heard about Pete Gray. The whole movie is based on Pete Gray's story. And I need to check to see if it's on YouTube or something, because I'd definitely like to check that out again. But I remember loving that movie when I saw it, and I think I saw it twice. I think they showed it again, but it came out in 1986. And that was how I originally heard about Pete Gray. So just an absolutely amazing story. And I'm not sure if he has a card that came out before this, but if he does, I'll be looking for it because I'd love to add that as well. But happy that he was included in this set for sure because he's got a fantastic story. All right, next card we have is Ted Fritsch. And Ted Fritsch played American baseball, basketball, and football. He's most known for being a football player. He was the running back for the Green Bay Packers from 1942 to 1950. However, he also played 2 years for the Oshkosh All-Stars of the NBL, and he also played as an outfielder for the Portsmouth Cubs, the Nashville Vols, and the Los Angeles Angels minor league teams. And it shows him here with the Phillies, but from what I've seen, he never actually made the major leagues. But he did play in the minors, and he was included in this set. And there it's got his minor league batting record right there. But yeah, I don't think he might have appeared with the Phillies, and I believe he played for the Cubs for a bit, yeah, before signing with the Cubs. So I'm not sure if he made like spring training appearances, but that's about it. But he was in the minor leagues, but yeah, he's probably most known for playing in the NFL. All right, now this was one of the cards I was most excited to get. I've got to give a shout out to, who was it? I think it was John Mangini that did a spotlight on this guy. And I had never heard about this story, but as soon as I heard about it, I started looking to see what cards this guy has. And from everything I've found, this is the first card that was ever made of this guy. And he does have an amazing story and an amazing accomplishment in the history of professional baseball. And it is Ron Nakai. And Ron Nakai is best remembered for the unique feat of striking out 27 batters in a 9-inning game, which he accomplished while playing with the Class D Appalachian League team, the Bristol Twins, on May 13th, 1952. He's also the only pitcher to ever to do so in a 9-inning professional league game, which is absolutely amazing. But on May 13th, pitching despite painful stomach ulcers, Nakai struck out 27 batters while throwing a 7-0 no-hitter against the Welsh Miners. 4 of the Welsh hitters did reach base via a walk, an error, a hits batsman, and a pass ball charged the Twins catcher Harry Dunlop on a swinging third strike. This resulted in a 4 strikeout ninth inning. Only 2 batters put the ball in play. Robert Gowing grounded out to first base in the 4th inning, while Frank Whitehead got on base on an error in the 9th. But that accomplishment by itself is amazing, to strike out 27 batters in a no-hitter. But in his next start, Nakai also threw a 24 strikeout 2-hitter, which is absurd. I mean, he had 51 strikeouts in 2 games. That's absurd. And for the season, he struck out 109 hitters in 43 innings for Bristol and had a Carolina League 172 strikeouts in 126 innings at Burlington before quickly climbing the ranks of the organization and eventually getting called up to the major leagues amid heavy publicity in August 1952. And then on the back, you can see that he wasn't as successful in the majors. There was his major league pitching record, 1952 for Pittsburgh. Pitched in 12 games, 55 innings pitched. He had a 1-6 record, 143 win percentage, 31 strikeouts, 32 walks, 63 hits, and a 7.08 ERA. So definitely did not have the same success in the majors as he had in the minors, but 51 strikeouts in 2 games is absurd, and 27 batters in 1 game, 1 9-inning game. We might never see that again. So Ron Nakai, and I guess this is technically his rookie card. Really happy to share that story with everybody, and really happy to get this card in the collection. So, all right, next we have Nino Escalara. And he was an outfielder, first baseman, and he appeared for 1 full season in 1954 in the major leagues for the Cincinnati Redlegs. And he was actually the first player of African descent to appear in an MLB game for the Cincinnati franchise. And you see right there, 1954, he played in 73 games, 69 at-bats, 15 runs, 11 hits, a double, a triple, 3 RBIs, batted 159. All right, next, this guy has another interesting story. This is Bobo Holloman. And Holloman was a right-handed pitcher who played 1 season with the American League St. Louis Browns in 1953. Holloman made his major league debut April 18, 1953. And in his first start on May 6th, Holloman threw a no-hitter, becoming the first player to do so in his first start since 1900. He pitched in 22 games that season for the Browns, before being sold to a minor league team. Holloman spent the rest of 1953 and 54 in the minor leagues before retiring from active play. In his 22-game career, he pitched 65 1/3 innings and posted a win-loss record of 3-7 with a 5.23 ERA. But he pitched a no-hitter in his first major league start. Not his first major league appearance, but his first major league start, which is really impressive. And there are his stats right there. 22 games, 65 innings pitched, 3-7, 25 strikeouts, 50 walks, 69 hits, 5.23 ERA. So that's Bobo Holloman. And the last player from this set, this is Paul Pettit. And Paul Pettit was an American professional baseball player who played in the major leagues for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1951 and 1953. But he's mostly known for what he did in high school, where he was known as the Wizard of Whiff. As an amateur in high school for the semi-pro Signal Oilers, he pitched 6 no-hitters, 3 of them in a row, struck out 945 batters in 549 innings. In one 12-inning high school game, he struck out 27 batters. In 1949, movie producer Frederick Steffani was looking to make a baseball movie but could not afford the story of an established star. Instead, Stephanie scouted high school athletes with major league prospects and eventually signed Pettit for $85,000. Upon his graduation in 1950, Pettit was signed by the Pittsburgh Pirates, who bought his contract from Stephanie, though Stephanie retained the film rights, plus an additional $15,000. This $100,000 sum, or the equivalent of $1.216 million today, was a new record and made Pettit baseball's first six-figure bonus baby. Sent up to the Pirates in 1951, Pettit pitched two and two-thirds innings with a 3.38 ERA with no decisions. Although this performance was disappointing, it was not considered to have been the result of a lack of talent or an error on the part of the scouts. It was mainly due to an arm injury. Pettit returned to the Pirates in 1953. In 28 innings, he was 1-2 with an ERA of 7.71. As a hitter, Pettit was 2 for 8 with a batting average of .250. At the start of the 1954 season, his arm injury became impossible to ignore. Pettit was eventually forced to give up pitching and was sent down to the Salinas Packers of the California League, where he played outfield. In 1954, he hit .324 with 20 home runs and 102 RBIs. In 1955, playing for the Azules de Veracruz of the Mexican League, he hit .382. In 1957, Pettit returned to the Hollywood Stars, replacing future Pirates slugger Dick Stewart. Pettit hit .284 with 20 home runs, 102 RBIs. And on September 2nd, 1957, he had a 10 RBI game against the Seattle Rainiers. By 1958, Pettit's arm problems had become so bad that he had to move to first base, and Pettit retired in 1961. But man, those numbers in high school are absurd for the semi-pro Signal Oilers. 6 no-hitters, 3 in a row, 945 batters in 549 innings. Struck out 27 batters in a 12-inning game. Just absurd numbers, absurd numbers. And so, yeah, Paul Pettit, I'm not sure if he has any other cards other than this one right here. And definitely has an interesting story, so really happy to get that. So hopefully y'all enjoyed seeing that set. It's kind of an oddball set, but definitely has some great stories of some interesting professional baseball players, because not all of them were major leaguers. But I just love the story that some of these cards can tell. So really happy to get this set. All right, so next, I picked up a set, a 6-card set from a company called Liebig. This came out in 1959. And as I've said several times, I'm a huge art fan, and so I kind of stumbled upon this set just looking up Liebig sets and decided to pick it up. In fact, I actually picked up an additional set. I actually picked up 2 additional sets. The one that I'm going to be showing here is actually in French, but I have 2 others coming that are Flemish. And one of those I'm actually going to be giving away when I do my 750 subscriber giveaway. And so, you know, I thought it would be kind of cool to pick that up and you know, do that as part of the giveaway. It won't be the only thing that I give away, but I thought it was interesting and thought somebody might enjoy it. I haven't really done too many things as far as art, and I am a big art fan, so I thought this would be a nice thing to put in there. But anyway, I did translate the back of these since they're in French, but I'll kind of show the back in case Fabian, undrafted player, wants to read along and tell me how accurate my Google translations are. But anyway, this is Vincent van Gogh, and these are just fantastic. So we have this one right here. This is the front. And like I said, this is a 6-card set from 1959. And there's the back. And So I'll read some of this and then I'll flip it over. But on the front, it says, Vincent preaches to the miners. That's what it says right here. And then down here it says, Cube Liebig gives strength and flavor. And then on the back, the backs of these cards do an amazing job of kind of telling Vincent van Gogh's story. But this says, Vincent van Gogh was born in Groot Zundert. I probably butchered that. In the province of Noord-Brabant on March 30th, 1853. He was the son of a Protestant minister. After having tried in vain to make a career in the painting trade in London and Paris, he undertook theological studies, which he had to give up due to the following. He then decided to settle in Borinage in Hainaut as a lay preacher. He fulfilled his duties with exemplary zeal, caring for the sick and wounded of mining disasters, and preached to workers. However, his superiors could not approve his conduct and blamed him for the fact that he offered his own clothes to the needy, shared his food with them, and lived in what they believed was exaggerated poverty. It was in Borinage that Van Gogh first became aware of his vocation as a graphic artist. He had the conviction of being able to render greater services to humanity and especially to the working people. So I don't know how accurate that is. It seems like, some of it might have not translated correctly. So maybe Fabian, you can tell me how accurate that was. But still, this is the first card of the set. Give you another look at that. And these are in really nice shape. They don't look like they have, the little marks on the sides like a lot of these do from being in the little booklets and albums that a lot of them do. So these were well taken care of. But here's card number 2. And on the front, this says, in an Antwerp dance hall. And then down here, it says, Liebig egg ravioli, the most delicate of Italian dishes. And by the way, Liebig, which is the company that made these cards, and quite a few cards. They were around for a long time, but apparently they were like a meat extract company. And I think I said the last time I showed some Liebig cards, meat extract does not sound appealing in any way, shape, or form. And there's the back. Let me bring that up a little closer to the screen. And then I will tell you what the back says. So after taking drawing and painting lessons from Mauve in The Hague, Van Gogh settled in Nuenen near Eindhoven, or the Netherlands, where his father had been transferred. At that time, Vincent wanted to be a painter of country life, and he made a series of very successful paintings in a very personal, realistic style, imbued with strong expressiveness. The most famous of these is without a doubt The Potato Eaters. In 1885, Van Gogh decided to go to Antwerp to improve his art at the Academy. He will only stay there a few months, but he will nevertheless have time to admire the technical virtuosity of Peter Paul Rubens and discover the unique beauty of engraving Japanese, who had a great influence on his artistic development. Van Gogh liked to mingle with the people and frequently visited the company of sailors, the dance halls of the Saint Andre Quarter, in Antwerp. So that is card number 2. Again, I'll show you the back and the front. Just fantastic looking cards. And then here is card number 3. In the back. And this one is Vincent with his brother Theo in Paris. And the bottom says Claire Liebig meat broth tablets, perfect cooking. I'll show the back. And this says, throughout his life, Vincent van Gogh would only find understanding and support from his younger brother Theo, who had made a career in the painting trade in Paris. The correspondence of the two brothers also constitutes a high level of source of information, interesting story about the life and work of the painter. When leaving Antwerp, Vincent had asked his brother Theo to meet in the Rembrandt room of the Louvre Museum in Paris. This is where they met. His stay in the French capital was profitable for Van Gogh. There he came into contact with the latest trends in pictorial art. His friends, Gauguin, Toulouse-Lautrec, and Pissarro, however, paid very little interest to his paintings. He became a convinced follower of Impressionism, painting some more than meritorious pictures, but failing to find his own way. So that seems a little choppy, but hopefully y'all get the gist of what that said. But yeah, that doesn't look like it was an accurate translation in some cases, some of the sentences anyway. All right, so here is card number 4. Let me bring that up to the screen. This is definitely one of the more interesting ones, if you know his story. And there's the back. And this one says Van Gogh in Aries. And then down here, it says beans with Liebig tomato, complete prepared meal. Oh, and down here at the bottom, see, I was worried that these were actually reproductions, but this actually says reproduction prohibited. So this is an original that I thought they might have been saying that these were reproductions, but yeah, this is definitely an original. And I couldn't get auto translate or the Google Translate to translate whatever that says. Whatever reason it wouldn't pick it up, but yeah, that does say reproduction forbidden. And there's the back, and this says in 1888 Van Gogh discovered the south and the sun. He settled in Aries in the Maison Jean Place Lamartine, where he dreamed of a colony of fraternally united artists. He fiercely painted the men and the landscapes around him, and finally acquired a personal style, characterized by a contagious vitality. His dazzling genius animates and explains everything his brush touches, from a simple chair to the famous bridge on the outskirts of the city. He also made admirable portraits of his friends and intimates, and painted his immortal sunflowers. In just a few years, he took his place among the most important and progressive painters of his time. At his request, Gauguin came to settle in Aries, but the temperaments of the two artists were so divergent that their discussions soon degenerated into real quarrels. Gauguin returns to Paris, leaving Van Gogh in the darkest despair. Soon, the first symptoms of mental confusion appear in the latter. Does he not go so far as to cut off his ear with a razor in a moment of revolt? In this state, he crosses the city, leaving traces of blood everywhere. The next morning, the police are at his bedside and asking him for explanations. And so, yeah, that's what you see there. That's the police in his room. He's got his head wrapped up. You can see kind of the blood on the side right there. And if you look over here, it's got his pipe, and you can see the straight edge right there. So, yeah, that's definitely an interesting image. And yeah, I didn't realize that he walked around town with his ear lopped off. That's pretty interesting. But here is card number 5, and this one's fantastic. I mean, you can see his style right here, and it's just gorgeous. I love his style of painting. And my favorite's definitely Starry Night, but the sunflowers, and he's definitely got a couple other artworks that are really nice. The Starry Night is definitely the iconic piece in my mind, along with the sunflowers. All right, so this one says, at the Convent of Saint Remy. And down here, this says Liebig soups in sachets, low price. Let me go ahead and actually let me show you this one more time before I flip it over. All right, and this says, after being treated and recovered at the Aries Hospital, Vincent van Gogh preferred to leave the city to work elsewhere. At his own request, he was admitted to the Neurological Institute of Saint Remy. There, he feels happy and free from all worries. He can once again devote himself body and soul to painting and completes one masterpiece after another. In comparison with his production in Aries, the canvases painted in Saint Remy appear more melancholy, but perhaps also more sensitive. He works behind the barred window of his cell, sometimes walks in the park, and can even from time to time leave the convent. Until now, it had been impossible to establish an exact diagnosis of Van Gogh's disease. However, it never hindered the healthy and logical construction of his pictorial work, not even during this period of voluntary isolation. And yeah, I'm guessing that those are the bars that they're talking about, but they kind of called it a cell as well, so really interesting. And the last one. And this one says, Funeral of Van Gogh in Alvers sur Oise. Alvers sur Oise. I'll let you see that because I probably butchered it. Alvers sur Oise. And the bottom part says, Liebig meat extract, the friend of gourmets. Show you this one more time. And this says, Driven by the need to associate with free men, Van Gogh decides to leave Saint Remy on the advice leave Saint Remy on the advice of his friend Pissarro. I can't read my handwriting. He went to Auvers-sur-Oise to be treated by Dr. Gachet, patron and friend of modern art. Vincent rents a room at the Ravio Cafe, a stone's throw from the town hall, of which he left us numerous representations. He continues to work tirelessly, but feels unhappy and lonely. Certain days he walks in the wheat fields, which he immortalized in an unforgettable way. He had armed himself with a revolver to shoot down the crows. No one will know exactly what happened, but he was injured by a gunshot to the head. By a superhuman effort, he managed to return to the village and his home. The same evening, the innkeeper found him bleeding in his bed. When Dr. Gachet and his son arrive, Vincent asks for his pipe. He smokes calmly all night. The next day, his brother Theo was notified, who came running in all haste. On July 29th, 1890, before dawn, Van Gogh died. The inn transformed into a chapel, and the coffin is placed on the billiard table in the middle of the room. He is buried in Alvers without the slightest pomp. So as you can see right here, you got the casket on the top of the billiard table. I'm guessing that that's Theo. And you see some of his artworks, another guy right here. And then you also see sunflowers right here, kind of his trademark. But from what I understand, Van Gogh only sold one painting in his lifetime. Yet he's looked at today as one of the greatest artists of all time. So, yeah, these are really interesting cards. They definitely tell a good story of his life. It's not a good story, but they do a good job of telling the story of his life. And really happy to have found this set. So hopefully y'all enjoyed seeing those and kind of hearing the story of Vincent van Gogh. All right, so we're at an hour, and I had planned to show the last group of 1981 Topps baseball from the starter set, but I think there's probably like 300 cards left to go. So we'll just see where we can go. I'll probably stop when we hit about an hour and a half. We're at an hour and 3 minutes right now. So we'll just see where we can go, and maybe we can finish, maybe we can't. But starting with card 401, and as I've been showing on a lot of them, this one's going to need to be replaced. A cool image right there. That's George Brett. There's the back. This one looks pretty good. A little off center, but NL champions, Phillies squeak past Astros. As I've done previously. Once I get past these highlights anyway, I'm going to show a couple of the cards and then flip them over on the back, and then after a while I'm just going to show the fronts. 1980 World Series, Phillies beat Royals in 6. Here's this one. Thought there was, yeah, there's like a little bend right in here. You can see it. I believe that's Tug McGraw. 1980 World Series. Philly wins first World Series. Next, we have Nino Espinosa. This one looks all right. The corners are a little rough. Next, we have Ernie Witt. I believe it's a pretty nice TTMer, but there's a little minor crease right there. Probably have to replace this one at some point. Next, we have Fernando Arroyo. This one looks all right. Next, this one's a beater. Britt Burns. It's got paper loss. I mean, look at those like swirls of something. It's almost like somebody took some sandpaper and did this. I don't know how else that could happen. Yeah, this one's rough, really rough. Next, we have Tony Bernazard. Next, we have Ben Ogilvy. This one's got some rough corners. Probably replace that one. Next, we have Gary Alexander. Next, we have Bobby Brown. Tom Hume. Next, we have Keith Hernandez. Fantastic player. This one looks all right. I believe John Mangini, when he was on Maiden Stream, said that Keith Hernandez has the most gold gloves of any first baseman ever. I think he said 11 gold gloves, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. I didn't realize he actually had double-digit gold gloves. I knew he was a great defensive first baseman, but 11 gold gloves, plus he was a nice hitter. How is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? Next, we have Bob Stanley, and this one's rough. Got a nasty crease. It's a cool image, though. Next, we have Shane Raleigh. This one definitely has rough corners. I'll have to replace this one. Next, we have Warren Brewstar. Next, we have John D'Acquisto. Next, this one's another beater. Actually, it's rough. I wouldn't call it a beater, though. I don't think there's a crease in it. But those corners are nice and worn. Well-loved card right here. Mick Kelleher. Next, we have Jim Bibby. It's a nice card. Next, we have Dave Roberts. And I'm pretty sure I have this card signed. Got it in a trade with Adam's Card Closet. Next, we have Len Barker. Next, we have Rance Mullenix. Card doesn't look bad. I thought that might have been a rookie card or something, but doesn't look like it. Next, we have Roger Erickson. Next, we have Jim Spencer. Yeah, it's got a crease. Next, this one's beat up. John Montefusco. That one's really, really beat up. Next, we have Jerry Royce. Next, we have Ron Pruitt. Rough corners. Probably have to replace that one. Doesn't look like there's any creases, though. Next, we have Jim Beattie. Next, we have Garth Orge. Next, Ellis Valentine. I like that old school kind of helmet protecting his face. It's almost like a football helmet, partial football helmet. That's interesting. Next, we have Junior Kennedy. Next, we have Paul Mitchell. Next, we have Randy Martin. Rob Wilfong. Next, we have Randy Jones, former Cy Young winner. Next, we have Dave McKay. He was a longtime coach under Tony La Russa, from what I remember. That one's got a crease in it. We'll have to replace this. Next, we have Milt May. Adam Devine. Boy, that sky behind him looks pretty nasty. Next, we have Bob Molinaro. This one is interesting as well. Look at that sky. This is Dave Stieb. He was a really nice pitcher. He's almost a borderline Hall of Famer. I don't remember how many one-hitters and two-hitters this guy had. He had a lot of them. Looks like a second-year Dave Stieb. Next, we have Johnny Walkenfuss. Next, we have Jeffrey Leonard. A lot of these look overcast. Next, we have Manny Trio. He's a nice TTMer. Got him back last year. Next, we have Mike Vail. This one's pretty rough. Little bend right there in that corner. Corner's rough. That edge is rough. Definitely going to have to replace that. Next, we have Dyer Miller. He's a nice TTMer. Next, we have Mike Lacoste. Get another stack. Next, this one will have to be replaced, but Jerry Koosman. Definitely a borderline Hall of Famer himself. We have Juan Eichelberger. Yeah, that'll need to be replaced. It's got a crease right down the middle. Next, we have Tim Raines, rookie card. It's a nice one. I believe this one came from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot. I do have a few of these. But I think this one came from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot. It was the sharpest with the nicest centering. Next, we have another Hall of Famer, Carlton Fisk. This one came from that same lot as well. And show the back. Next, we have Bob Lacey. Next, Jim Gantner. Next, we have Max Venable. Mark Hill. Damaso Garcia. Barry Foote. I like those old Cubs uniforms. The baby blue look, that looks fantastic. This one's a beater. Fred Norman. Creases. Rough corners. Almost looks like water was poured on it. Next we have Pat Putnam. I think he signs, but I think he charges. Next we have Tim Foley. Corners are pretty rough on that one. Next we have Giants Future Stars. I haven't really heard of any of those guys. So I don't know which of them had any sort of career. That might be Peter Borges's dad, though. Next we have Rob Dressler. Next we have Lee Mazzilli. Nice player. Next we have Wayne Garland. Next we have Hall of Famer Robin Yount. This one came from that Stars and Hall of Famers lot. Next we have Doug Bird. Richie Zisk. Love that image right there. Grant Jackson. John Tamargo. Sam Mejias. Mike Colburn. Mike Torres. He was a nice pitcher. Next we have Phillies Future Stars. I'm not really familiar with any of these guys either. Maybe Marty Bystrom, just from seeing his name on a couple cards. Oh. Next, Danny Goodwin. Next, we got Sarge, Gary Matthews. Next, we have Dave LaRoche. John Curtis. Bill Stein. Jesse Figueroa. Omar Moreno. Bob Ochinko. Ron Hodges. Tom Griffin. Rodney Scott. Steve Swisher. This might be Nick Swisher's dad. Larry Bradford. Terry Crowley, Johnny Grubb, Paul Moscow, Mario Guerrero, Dave Goltz, Jerry Remy, pretty nice player. Next we have Tommy John. Of course, we know he's now known for the Tommy John surgery, which he had performed on him when it was very experimental. Next we have Steve Trout, the original fish, as people like to say. Next we have Tim Blackwell. Next we have Chris Knapp. Next we have Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer. Nice card. This was actually in this lot, not the Stars and Hall of Famers lot, although I believe this card was in that as well. Next we have Dennis Littlejohn. He's got a little rough corners. Next, checklist. Looks pretty good. Next we have Ron Hassey, long time backup catcher. Next we have Bert Hooton, and that one's definitely beat up. Next we have Al Williams. Todd Cruz. This one's pretty rough. Next we have Jack Morris, Hall of Famer. And Phil Garner. He's a nice TTMer. All right, so I've got one more stack, probably 50 cards or so. We're at about an hour and 22. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this group. I think I'll be able to do it, maybe go a little over an hour and a half, but it'd be nice to get this knocked out so I can move on to the next starter set. This one's a beater, Bill Caudill. It's a cool image, though. Next, we have Hall of Famer Tony Perez. It's a great image right there. Next, we have Reggie Cleveland. This is another beater. Next, I remember having this one when I was younger. Ken Schramm's probably the biggest name on this. Next, we have a severely miscut Bill Gullickson. Otherwise, it's not bad. Next, we have Tim Flannery. Next, we have Amos Otis. Nice player. Silvio Martinez. Gary Lavelle. Lamar Johnson. This one's kind of rough. John Lowenstein. Steve Comer. Steve Kemp. Preston Hanna. Jerry Augustine. This one's definitely rough. Next we have George Vukovic. Next we have John Verhoeven. Next, this one's pretty rough. Paul Householder might be the biggest name on this one. And I do recognize Bruce Berenier. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I recognize it. Next we have Greg Pryor. Corners are a little rough on that one. Next we have Lynn McLaughlin. Corners are kind of rough on this one as well. Next we have Daryl Porter, who is a nice catcher. Yeah, that one will have to be replaced as well. Next we have Rick Matula. Next we have Dave Rozema. And this one looks kind of rough and it's off center. Next we have Rick Dempsey. Again, the corners are pretty rough on this one. Next we have Rick Wise. This one's a beater. Tom Donahue. Just creases everywhere. Corners rough. Next, this one's beat up. Sal Bando. It's got like an impression from being in a binder or something. Corners are rough. Miscut. Next we have Bob Welsh. He's a really nice pitcher. He might have won a Cy Young pitching for the A's. I'd have to check that, but I think he did. Next we have Bill Buckner. Corners are a little rough on that one. Next we have Louis Tiant. Nice card. Next we have Tony Armas, who's a nice player. Next, another card from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot. We got Steve Carlton, Hall of Famer. Lefty. Next we have Ron Jackson. Next we have Alan Bannister. Corners are pretty rough on this one. It's got a crease. Next we have the Spaceman, Bill Lee. Great card, great player, great TTMer. Next we have Doug Flynn. Cool image right there. Next we have the Mad Hungarian, Al Herboski. The corners are a little rougher than I like on that one. Next we have Jerry Narron, one-time manager of the Texas Rangers. Next we have Carney Lansford. I was a big fan of Lansford in those late 80s Oakland A's teams. He'd always like shake his bat. It was really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed watching him play. Next, put this guy in the Hall of Fame for crying out loud. Cobra, Dave Parker. He belongs. Next we have Lloyd Mosby. Corners are a little rough on that one. Pretty nice player though. Next we have Roman Aviles. Next we have Marvis Foley. Next, this is another nice player, Darrell Evans, but the card's a little rough and off center. Next, we have Bucky Dent. I won't use his nickname. He was a pretty nice player and eventually went to the Texas Rangers for a bit. Next, we have Pedro Guerrero. This one's a little rough, but I enjoyed watching Pedro Guerrero. He's a nice player. Next, we have Bill Fahey. Dan Dreesen. John Matlack was a nice player. This one's almost miscut, though. Next we have Ned Yost, rookie. Next we have some team photo cards. Love these. Earl Weaver, of course, Hall of Famer. Next we have the Red Sox with Ralph Houck, and that one's pretty beat up. Next we have the Detroit Tigers and old Sparky Anderson, Hall of Famer. Next we have Bob Rogers, or I think he was Buck Rogers. Next we have the Minnesota Twins, and this one's beat up. John Gorel. Yeah, this one actually has the entire back checked off as well. Yeah, that'll be replaced. Next we have the Oakland A's with old Billy Martin. And that one's pretty rough. But it's not checked on the back. Next we have the Seattle Mariners and Maury Wills, manager. I didn't even know Maury Wills became a manager. That's pretty cool. Next we have the Texas Rangers. Love this one. And of course we got Don Zimmer. I like Don Zimmer. Next we have the Toronto Blue Jays with Bobby Maddock. Not too bad, but it does have that nasty ding right there. Next we have the Cincinnati Reds and John McNamara. New York Mets and Joe Torre. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer. Next, we have the Philadelphia Phillies and Dallas Green. Next, the Pittsburgh Pirates and Chuck Tanner. This one's a little rough. Next, we have San Diego Padres and Frank Howard. It's another guy I didn't know became a manager. This card almost looks like it was wet at one point in time. It's pretty rough right there. And it looks like the last team card we have is the San Francisco Giants and Dave Bristol. All right, next we have Reds future stars, and I definitely know Bruce Hurst. Here's a nice pitcher. Next we have Dennis Ruthven. This is another card that'll need to be replaced, and of course you got some pulp right there on the card. Next we have Lenny Randall. Next I believe this is a rookie card. We have Steve Howe. And I was watching one of Boom Slang's videos the other day where he was going through one of his boxes, and he found a Steve Howe card, and he was like, man, how many chances does a guy need? And that's true, man. This guy kept getting suspended over and over and over again. He was a pretty nice pitcher when he was actually pitching. And I do believe that's his rookie card. Next we have Bud Harrelson. Next we have Kent Tekulve. Man, he was fun to watch. Kind of a side armor. Submarine guy. Next we have Rick Waits. A handful of cards to go. Next we have Glenn Abbott. So I was able to go through this file fairly quickly. Next we have George Brett, Hall of Famer. This came from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot. Next we have Joe Rudy. That one, corners are a little rough. Next we have George Medich. I guess that one looks alright. This one's beat up. Alvis Woods. This one also looks like it was wet at one point. It's got some creases. Corners are rough. Next we have Bill Travers. That one's got a really nasty corner, but I guess it's not horrible. Next we have Dave Ford. Dave Cash. This one's going to have to be replaced. That's really bad. And the rest of the corners aren't very good either. Another card from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot, Alan Trammell. Next we have Ron LaFleur. And Bill Madlock, another guy that probably should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a fantastic hitter. Next we have Jim Barr. Larry Bittner. This one's a little rough. Next we have Sparky Lyle. I believe he won a Cy Young. Pretty sure he did. Great stash. Next we have Bruce Bocty. This one's kind of rough. Now I believe the last 4 cards that I have to show, I believe all of these are the Topps Traded set. I'll go ahead and show them. We have a Hubie Brooks. This one's definitely off center. That might be a Hubie Brooks rookie. He was a nice player. Next we have Dave Kingman, who had a lot of home runs but struck out a lot and didn't have much of an average either. But he was a good player. See, that's 781. See, I think all of these are 81 Topps Traded. Next we have Darrell Porter, another nice player. Now we're into the 800s. And the last card, we have old Rusty Staub. So there we go. So that was the last of the 1981 Topps starter set. I think I showed it over the last 3 weeks. So it was a pretty good start to the set. I'm going to have to replace a lot of them, but I would guess that there's probably, if there's not half, it's close to half of the set from this starter lot. And some of the nicer cards I already had from the Stars and Hall of Famers lot. And there aren't too many really big rookie cards in here that I don't already have. I think the biggest are probably, the Tim Raines and Harold Baines, probably. And there might be a couple others I'm not thinking of, but yeah, it's a nice start to the 81 Topps set. So anyway, hopefully you have enjoyed the video tonight. I know it's a little longer than normal, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed, kind of hearing the story of Vincent van Gogh, and, seeing that first year, I guess 1 year winners, I think is what it was called, 1 year winners set. I really enjoy that set. I think it's got some great cards and great stories in that, but hopefully you enjoyed seeing that, and of course hopefully you enjoyed seeing the 1981 Topps starter set. So anyway, Spine Ticks After Party, I appreciate you stopping by, and everybody that's checking out the replay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your amazing support, and until next time, thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.